Welcome to the Graduation Coach Campaign's video series. The Graduation Coach Campaign is an initiative in Philadelphia that is committed to supplying adults with the information they need to help students graduate high school and move on to college and successful careers. You can find more videos like this one at phillygradcoach.org. Please feel free to pause, rewind, and rewatch this video at any time to get the most out of your viewing experience. Hello, I'm Saya Hormozi, and I'm the director of the Graduation Coach Campaign. The information in this video was provided to us by the guidance counselor and after-school director at Community Academy of Philadelphia Charter School, Laura Kibler. When choosing a college, there are 4 important variables to consider. These variables are academics, campus environment, costs of attendance, and the components of the admission process. One of the first qualities of a college you can look at to help narrow down your search is a college's academic profile. When looking for a good fit, it is essential that you consider the entire academic profile of a school. Ask yourself, are they accredited by a regional or national accrediting body? If the school your student is considering has been regionally or nationally accredited, it means that a board has reviewed and approved of the quality of the education your student will receive there. This information can be found on the institution's website. Another question to ask is, what majors does the institution offer? If your student knows what career he or she is interested in pursuing, investigate the institution's coursework and programs for the majors that are typically held by individuals in those fields. If your student is unsure of their major, they can enter college as undeclared and transfer into a major later on, but you will both want to make sure that the institution offers a variety of majors and that their programs are strong in more than one area. This will increase your student's chances of getting the proper education no matter what he or she decides to ultimately pursue. Also, when selecting a major, remember that some majors have specific requirements and making sure that they make sense for your student. If the major requires a lot of math courses, for example, and math isn't your student's strong suit, they may want to reconsider their major. The college's website will list those requirements. The next thing you and your student should think about when selecting a college is the campus environment. When selecting a college, it is important to remember that your student will be there for 4 or more years. It is essential that they visit different campuses and get a feel for what college life would be like there. Another important thing to consider when considering schools is how far your student is willing and able to travel. How much would it cost for travel expenses to visit homes, such as car trips or plane tickets? What would be the overall cost of moving their belongings? Remember, many dorm rooms close during school holidays and students are required to leave campus. Also, is your student emotionally ready to be far away from their family system during a time of such major life transition? Other characteristics of the college you may want to consider, aside from the distance from home, is the actual location of the school. Is it in an urban, suburban, or rural area? Growing up in Philadelphia, students may feel more comfortable in a city environment that is rich in diversity. Some, however, may have a strong desire to go to a college that is quiet and more secluded. All colleges are unique and different. It is important for students to visit the campuses early on in high school so they have plenty of time to visit all the schools they are considering. You can go to collegeboard.org to select schools based on location. Another aspect of campus environment to think about is what the university has to offer outside of classes. Do they have a variety of activities, clubs, and organizations on campus that the student would enjoy? If the student plans on playing sports, are they happy with the recreational facilities on campus? Talk to your student about what campus size they would feel most comfortable with. Some colleges enroll thousands of students every year, while some only enroll a couple hundred. When thinking about campus size, it is important to consider the student-to-teacher ratio. Will students be in large lecture halls or small classrooms? In which type of environment will your student most likely be successful? Finally, when considering a campus environment for your student, you can't forget about safety. Safety of the campus is one of the most important factors to consider when looking into a college. Is there a high incidence of crime on campus and among college students? What is the college doing to ensure the safety of all its students? You can use the online tool from the Office of Post-Secondary Education to see reports of crime on most campuses, or call the college's admissions office to learn how you can get the information. Another variable to consider when choosing a college is the cost of attendance. You and your student may want to consider first looking at the cost of attendance of schools and then narrowing down your search from there. You don't want your student to fall in love with a school that is too expensive for them to attend. Encourage your student to consider colleges that will not put them in a large amount of debt. Costs vary significantly between public and private colleges. Public colleges receive federal and state funding, which allows them to be more affordable for students. Private colleges, on the other hand, rely on student tuition to sustain themselves. However, although private schools tend to be more expensive, they do offer institutional aid that makes it feasible for students to afford. Remember that if the student plans to live on campus, it is important that they consider the added room and board costs. Students who live on campus pay an estimated $10,000 to $15,000 for each year they live on campus. Some students choose to commute to save on this added expense. Remember that beyond their tuition and room and board, students will also have outside expenses such as books, school supplies, and pocket money for leisure activities. Tuition and boarding information can be found on the college's website or at www.collegeboard.org. Once you have taken all this information into account and narrowed your search down, it's important you and your student consider the admission requirements of each college or university. Students can start applying to colleges in the fall of their senior year. It is important that they familiarize themselves with the application process well before the opening date of applications. Nearly all four-year universities have minimum requirements for admissions. Students should be aware of the college's GPA and standardized testing requirements. They should also explore the college's website to determine whether the application requires personal essays and recommendations. To find out more about all factors a college admissions board considers when evaluating a student's application, watch the Graduation Coach Campaign's video called "What Colleges Look For in a Candidate." Lastly, if the student is genuinely interested in a specific college, it is important they be aware of all of their admissions deadlines. Once students start gathering information and visiting colleges, they should start narrowing down their choices to about 5 colleges. They should classify them as reach, match, and safety. A reach school is a college that might be a bit of a stretch based on the student's GPA and test scores. Their academic credentials probably fall below what the average admissions are at that college. A match school is one where the student's academic credentials fall well within the college's admission requirements. Lastly, a safety school is one where the student's academic credentials fall above the college's average admission requirements. It is important that students are realistic so they don't select all reach schools. We recommend that students choose 1 to 2 reach schools, 3 match, and 1 to 2 safety. So let's replay this information with some quick do's and don'ts. When considering a college, do plan and prepare early. Do visit colleges and universities, and do review all important admission requirements and ensure you are prepared to start applications in the fall of your senior year. Don't let students wait until their senior year to start preparing. Don't commit to a college without visiting. And don't apply to all colleges that are out of your reach. So, what's the next step? Now that you've watched this video, The next step you can take is to sit down with your student and start thinking about which criteria are the most important to you and your student when looking for a college. Is cost your biggest concern? Or maybe location? You can go to collegeboard.org and search for colleges using any of those criteria to narrow your search. Even if your student isn't ready to start applying to colleges, collegeboard.org is a great resource that you and your student should start to familiarize yourselves with now. Thank you for watching. For more information on other ways to support your student and more videos like this one, go to phillygradcoach.org.